This morning, in Russia's Belgorod region, people awoke to the sound of gunfire as the Freedom of Russia Legion and the Russian Volunteer Corps launched an incursion that would mark one of the most audacious operations against Russian military presence in recent times. Armed with tank support, the saboteurs, described as pro-Ukrainian militias by Meduza and Al Jazeera, initiated an attack on the Shebekino border checkpoint. The region's operational headquarters contested claims of a breakthrough by the Ukrainian military, but acknowledged shelling in the area and combat sounds, underscoring the tense and volatile situation. Belgorod Governor Vyacheslav Gladkov reported that Shebekino was under relentless fire from a Grad multiple rocket launcher system, leading to a dormitory building catching fire and damage to a local administration building. The Russian Defense Ministry later claimed to have foiled an invasion attempt, alleging that Ukrainian formations, reinforced with tanks, sought to conduct a terrorist attack against Shebekino's civilian population. They reported repelling 3 attacks thanks to the selfless actions of Russian servicemen, and claimed significant casualties among the attackers. However, the narrative from the groups behind the incursion tells a different story. They aim to draw Russian troops away from other fronts and incite rebellion against the Russian government. Their actions reflect a broader strategy to expose Russian vulnerabilities and inspire resistance within Russia against President Vladimir Putin's regime. Despite the Russian government's portrayal of these groups and their efforts, the persistence and coordination of their actions reveal significant challenges to the Kremlin's control and narrative. But who are the Freedom of Russia Legion and the Russian Volunteer Corps, the groups behind this audacious incursion into Belgorod? The Freedom of Russia Legion was formed in the spring of 2022, arising from a desire among Russians to fight against Putin's regime in the ranks of the armed forces of Ukraine. It declares cooperation with the Ukrainian armed forces and operates under Ukrainian command. Its formation symbolizes a significant segment of Russian society's opposition to Putin's military actions and domestic policies. The Legion has claimed responsibility for several operations, including attacks in Belgorod and participation in the fight in eastern Ukraine, aiming to create a security zone to protect Ukrainian civilians. On the other side, the Russian Volunteer Corps, established by a far-right Russian national, comprises Russians fighting for Ukraine against their homeland. It has claimed responsibility for military incursions into Russian territory, including actions in March and April prior to the larger-scale operations in May. The RVC presents itself as an independent underground group within Russia, also aligned with the Ukrainian Foreign Legion, though the Foreign Legion disassociates from the RVC. Their ideology is mixed, with elements of far-right nationalism, yet their objective aligns with the Freedom of Russia Legion in opposing Putin's regime. Both groups have taken significant steps to challenge the Kremlin's narrative of control and demonstrate the potential for internal resistance. Their operations, particularly the recent incursion into the Belgorod region, are not merely military maneuvers but part of a larger strategy aimed at weakening Putin's grip on power and inspiring broader dissent within Russia. Despite the Kremlin's efforts to label these fighters as terrorists or Ukrainian saboteurs, the group's actions and the identities of their members suggest a more complex picture of Russian opposition to Putin's government, encompassing a spectrum of political beliefs and motivations. Their continued presence and activities underscore the nuanced and multifaceted nature of the conflict involving Russia and Ukraine, highlighting the internal divisions within Russia and the growing boldness of opposition groups. As these groups continue to carry out operations and gain attention, they represent a significant challenge to the Kremlin's narrative and demonstrate the complexity of Russian society's response to the ongoing conflict.